People whispered about Rivka Cohen everywhere she went. She's weird. She doesn't eat what we eat. Just ignore her. But on day 3, bullies cornered her in the cafeteria and tried to force pork into her mouth. The one thing absolutely forbidden in her faith, something inside Rivka finally broke. What they didn't know was that the quiet Jewish girl they mocked had spent years training in a martial arts gym her late father built with his own hands. And when they crossed the line that day, Rivka gave them a lesson they would never forget. What happened next didn't just shake the cafeteria. It changed Redwood High forever. Rivka Cohen moved through the halls like a ghost seen by everyone, understood by no one. Long brown hair pulled back, simple clothes, a backpack hugged close to her chest, eyes always lowered. She wasn't the type of person people invited to sit with them. She was the type they joked about when they were bored. She had arrived at Redwood High just 4 months earlier after her father died suddenly of a heart attack. Her mother, shattered but determined, moved them to this new town, hoping a different house, a different school, and a different sky might somehow dull the ache. But grief doesn't vanish with a change of scenery. It follows you. It slips into your locker. It sits beside you in every empty chair. Rivka wasn't the kind of girl who talked about her feelings. She didn't rant online. She didn't cry in the hallways. She kept her head down, studied hard, and tried to be invisible. At lunch, she always sat alone. Same small table, same corner of the cafeteria. Her meals were always from home, neatly packed kosher food in small containers. Blessings whispered under her breath before she took a bite. Other students noticed. Why doesn't she eat the school food? Why does she pray before she eats? Why won't she touch anything with pork? Is she trying to act special or something? She heard every word. She answered none of them. When they stared, she just offered a small, quiet smile and kept eating. But inside, she was exhausted. Every day felt like a test she hadn't studied for. Every whisper felt like a weight on her chest. The wrong people noticed her. There were 3 boys who ruled the cafeteria like it belonged to them: Derek, Chase, and Logan. They weren't the biggest or the strongest, but they were the loudest, and loud often looks like power in high school. They traveled together like a storm cloud. They laughed at anyone different, picked on kids who sat alone, and recorded videos of their jokes for social media. When they realized Rivka always ate by herself, with her strange food and quiet prayers, they found their next target. One afternoon, Derek sauntered over to her table, hands in his pockets, smirk already in place. "What's in the box?" he sneered. "Rabbit food?" Chase leaned over. "Hey, say something in Hebrew for us." Logan grinned. "Can you even eat normal food? Or is everything on the no-fun list?" Rivka said nothing. She closed her lunchbox carefully, like she was sealing away something precious, and stood up to leave. That simple act refusing to give them a reaction made them angry. Chase snatched the lunchbox from her hand, snapped it open, and flipped it toward the table. Food scattered across the surface, rice, vegetables, and a small container of sauce rolling toward the edge. "Look at this!" he shouted. "Is this even food?" A few nearby students laughed. Some turned away. No one stepped in. Rivka didn't shout. She didn't cry. She calmly picked up her food piece by piece, placed it back in the box, and wiped the table with a napkin. "Please don't touch my lunch again," she said quietly. Her voice wasn't shaky. It wasn't timid. It was steady, almost too steady. The boys exchanged surprised glances. Logan stepped closer, trying to loom over her. "Or what?" he said. Rivka held his gaze for a brief second, then turned and walked away without a word. That silent confidence, it infuriated them. They weren't used to targets who didn't crumble. That evening, while the rest of the town settled into weekend routines, Rivka walked alone to the edge of an industrial block where an old warehouse stood. The sign above the door, faded but still clear, read, Cohen Martial Arts Academy, founded by Master Eli Cohen, her father. Inside, the air smelled like sweat, dust, and memory. Worn-out mats covered the floor. Heavy bags hung from beams he had installed himself. Wooden dummies waited in the corner. Have report. Body minus dated. Wooden dummies. And on the far wall, framed in simple black, was a picture of her father in his gi, smiling like he always did after training. Rivka stepped in, removed her shoes, and bowed in front of his photo. "Papa," she whispered, voice catching, "I need your guidance. I feel like I'm losing myself." For years, this place had been their shared world. While other kids went to soccer or dance, Rivka spent her evenings here, learning strikes, blocks, footwork, balance, and how to fall and get back up. Her father had taught her Krav Maga, boxing, and the discipline behind every move. He drilled one lesson into her more than any technique. Strength isn't for hurting people. Strength is for protecting what you believe in and those who can't protect themselves. She carried that rule like a commandment. Even after he died, she kept training, alone, beneath the buzzing lights. Jab, cross, elbow, knee, breathe, reset, again. Sweat ran down her spine, mixing with tears she refused to let fall. By 9 p.m., she was exhausted, but calmer. Muscles burning, heart steady. She closed the gym, locked the door, and walked home under the quiet night sky. She didn't know that the next day would push every lesson, every rule, and every boundary to its limit. Friday. The cafeteria reeked of greasy pizza, fries, and microwaved leftovers. Students filled the room with laughter, shouts, and the clatter of trays. It was loud and chaotic, the kind of noise that made Rivka's head swim. She took her usual seat in the corner. Today's lunch was simple: potato latkes, steamed vegetables, and a small container of applesauce. Comfort food, the kind her father used to make on long, hard days. She whispered her blessing, then began to eat. Peace never lasted long. Derek's voice cut through the cafeteria like a blade. "There she is, the princess of I'm too good for your food." Trays in hand, Derek, Chase, and Logan moved toward her table, their grins wide and mean. A few students watched, sensing drama. Others pretended not to see. "You think you're better than us, is that it?" Chase demanded. "Too holy for pizza day? What's so special about your little rules?" Logan added, leaning close. Rivka kept her eyes on her plate. She didn't answer. She didn't lift her head. Derek slammed his lunch tray down on her table. A slice of pork, oily and steaming, slid toward her plate. "Eat it," he said. The word rippled through the cafeteria. Conversations hushed. Forks stopped moving. Dozens of eyes turned toward the corner table. Rivka's breath caught. Pork wasn't just something she didn't like. It was forbidden, a line her faith drew clearly. A boundary her father had always told her to honor, no matter what the world tried to push on her. Her heart pounded in her chest. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. "Never let anyone force you to betray your faith. Not ever." She pushed the pork away, gently but firmly. "I can't eat that," she whispered. Logan laughed loudly, making sure everyone nearby heard. "You can't, or you won't." Chase picked up the piece of pork with his fingers, smirking. "Come on," he taunted, slowly raising it toward her face. "One bite. Be normal for once." The smell turned her stomach. Humiliation burned her cheeks. But something else stirred beneath the fear, a deep, steady anger she hadn't let surface before. He moved the pork closer to her mouth. That was the moment Rivka broke. Not in rage, not in panic. In resolve. She stood up. Her chair scraped back with a sharp sound that seemed to slice through the silence. She squared her shoulders, eyes level, breathing slow and controlled the way her father had taught her. "Don't touch me again," she said. Her voice was not loud, but it carried. For a split second, the three boys hesitated. This wasn't the timid silence they expected. Then Chase, still needing to perform for his audience, shoved her shoulder hard. The lunchroom gasped, and in that instant, years of training stopped being theory. Her body moved before her fear could. Her stance shifted, her weight centered. Her hands came up not wild, not flailing, but precise. Her father's teachings flowed through her muscles like memory.